All right, today we're diving deep into the mists of Celtic mythology to uncover the amazing story of the Dagda Cauldron. You know, it's one of those classic tales of courage against despair, good versus evil, and it turns out it's a fantastic way to pick up some really powerful English words that bring the whole legend to life. So, let's get this quest started.
So, at the very heart of this story is this one big question. When an entire country is just completely lost in hopelessness, what does it actually take for one person, a single hero, to turn everything around? This is the idea we're going to unpack as we journey through this myth together.
So, picture this. Our story kicks off in a land that's been blessed with peace and prosperity, a kind of peace that feels like it could last forever. But, as you might have guessed, that peace is about to be shattered, setting the stage for a massive crisis that's going to threaten the very soul of ancient Ireland. And the stakes? Well, they could not be higher. You see, with its sacred cauldron, Ireland was a land of prosperity and harmony, just shining with this brilliant radiance. But without it, the kingdom is plunged into absolute peril, a state of total catastrophe and a deep, hopeless gloom. And get this wasn't some earthquake or flood. This catastrophe was born from pure malicious spite. The cauldron was stolen, and that one single hateful act triggered a disastrous upheaval that just spread this thick blanket of despondency over everyone. But out of all that despair, a hero emerges, a young druid named Aisling. She is defined by two incredible qualities. First, her sagacity, this almost uncanny wisdom that lets her see a way forward when everyone else just sees a dead end. And second, her valor, a kind of heroic courage that just burns brightest when all the other lights have gone out. Of course, you can't have a great hero without a great villain, right? And ours is Balor, a guy whose motives are seriously twisted. His actions are fueled by this bottomless cupidity, this intense greed for power. He feels a deep enmity, a real hostility towards the people of Ireland, and he's desperate for eminence, not through honor, but through pure deceit. So this brings us to the real turning point in the story. Faced with her people's suffering, Aisling makes a choice, a decision that is going to change the fate of the land forever. The people were completely stuck in a quandary, a really perplexing problem with no obvious solution. I mean, how could they possibly get back a sacred object from an enemy who seemed all-powerful? It's this exact dilemma that forces Aisling to step up and find a path where nobody else could. And with this powerful, resolute vow, her mission officially begins. She knows the journey is packed with peril, but she is absolutely determined to bring harmony back to her home, no matter what it costs her. So, what's really powering this vow? Well, it's her fervor, this passionate devotion she has for her people. It's her deep understanding of the cauldron's hallowed or sacred nature. And it's her clear-eyed acceptance that the quest ahead is going to be incredibly arduous, that it'll test the very limits of her spirit. Okay, she's made her promise. Now the real journey begins. She has to venture right into the heart of darkness itself, Balor's stronghold, the Fortress of Shadows. And this isn't going to be a walk in the park. Inside, she's not just facing one challenge, but 3 distinct trials, each one specifically designed to break her. She'll have to evade deadly traps, resist unbelievable temptations, and finally face down a powerful ancient guardian. So the first trial is all about testing her mind. She has to navigate this maze of nefarious, just wickedly treacherous traps. But Aisling's sharp acumen, her intelligence, allows her to see right through every illusion. Her only guide is the faint, shimmering luster of the faraway cauldron. Next up, Balor himself makes an appearance. He tries to break her will with the allurement of wealth, offering her unimaginable affluence, just piles of riches. But his whole offer is pure vainglory, a kind of boastful pride she sees right through. And Aisling? She doesn't even flinch. So she makes it past the traps, past the temptations, and finally, she sees the cauldron. But there's a catch. It's protected by this fierce, powerful stag. The creature is filled with a terrifying wrath, this intense fury, and its antagonism is absolute. It's a hostile opposition that brute force could never, ever defeat. So how does she do it? How does she succeed? Well, not with force, but with character. She approaches the Guardian with incredible boldness, but also with sincere contrition for the mistake that lost the cauldron in the first place. It's her pure rectitude, her unshakable moral integrity, And the fortitude, the sheer strength she shows in the face of its rage that finally calms the beast. In the end, it was her character, not her power, that won the day. So she's done it. Having passed the trials and proven her worth, Aisling is finally able to claim the cauldron. Her arduous journey has hit its climax, and the fate of the entire land is now in her hands. And as Aisling returns the cauldron to its rightful place, you can just imagine its magical luster flowing out, healing the land. The Dagda, a god of goodness, shows his benevolence, this generous kindness, and blesses Ireland with harmony and prosperity all over again. The quest is complete, the adventure is over, but the story's message, that's what really endures. So, what's the ultimate takeaway from this myth? What is the cauldron's true legacy? You know, when you boil it all down, this whole myth is a classic conflict between virtue and vice. Where Balor brought cupidity and spite, Aisling countered with sagacity and fervor, and that restored harmony. And while Balor's vainglory led to his own downfall, it was Aisling's temperance, her self-control, that forged a true and lasting legacy. And this is what makes these ancient stories so powerful, right? They connect right back to our own world. The myth is a warning about the kind of imprudence, the recklessness that leads to disaster. So it leaves us with a question to think about. What kinds of folly do we see in our own time? And who will show the sagacity and the valor needed to restore the balance?